The Mary Tyler Moore Show ran for 7 critically acclaimed seasons from 1970 to 77. It's often regarded as one of the most influential and groundbreaking sitcoms of the 20th century.
Fan mail for a newscaster? Oh, that crazy, kooky American public. Fan mail, only in America. Here you go.
It wasn't just good writing that made the series such a success. Much of it had to do with the show's superb casting. Mary Tyler Moore starred as Mary Richards, an empowered single woman from Minneapolis who worked as an associate producer in TV news. The series centered around the somewhat tangled relationship between Richards and her boss, news director Lou Grant, played by Ed Asner. Grant was known for being a gruff man. On the surface, he was tough as nails and highly critical of others. But over the course of the series, his softer side began to seep through as he continued to mentor Mary, and they began to understand each other. Moore and Asner will always be remembered for their portrayal of these two iconic roles, but their real-life connection far extended beyond what audiences saw on their TVs, or what was printed in the newspapers during that era. In fact, they had an intense off-screen chemistry that few stars have gotten the chance to enjoy with their colleagues. It wasn't just a working relationship they shared. They considered each other to be very close friends. At one point, they even entertained the idea of pursuing a romantic connection as well. But if you want to hear the steamy details, you're going to have to watch the whole video. Moore wasn't convinced Asner was a good fit for Grant after his audition. Asner landed the role of Grant after several lucky breaks. When he auditioned for the Mary Tyler Moore Show, he had very few comedy credits. Regardless, he was still invited to come try out for the role. His first audition was met with a lukewarm response, but after requesting a second chance to deliver his lines and being granted that rare and generous opportunity, he gave a much more impressive performance that earned him the chance to come back and test with Moore. When Asner showed up for his read-through with Mary, his performance faltered once again. Perhaps he was experiencing a little nervous anxiety about meeting with Moore, but whatever it was, Asner recalls that audition as being particularly painful. "I read the scene with her like a man possessed," Asner told The Hollywood Reporter in 2017. Moore was not impressed and questioned whether the actor was really the right fit for the role. The producers continued to insist, however, that Asner was her Lou Grant. Moore met Asner at his first audition, but their on-screen chemistry wasn't really evident until filming the pilot. There's this golden scene you might even be familiar with, where Grant tells Richards she's got spunk. She basks a bit in pride with a touch of bashfulness before Grant bursts her bubble. "I hate spunk." Asner told NPR in 2001, that moment was the most powerful one in theater he had ever experienced, citing how perfect she was at playing her part. It was a transformational moment as well. Moore knew then and there Asner was cut out to be her Lou Grant. Asner learned from Moore. Moore rose to fame after appearing on The Dick Van Dyke Show in the 60s. She even won an Emmy for that performance. So even though Asner had been working in show business for years at that point, in 1970 there was no question Moore was the heavyweight star of the new show. Not only was the series named after her, it was also being produced by Moore's own MTM Enterprises production company. Regardless of her prestige, Moore was still very much a team player. Asner applauded her for her humility. He was impressed she was willing to take a background seat when called for and allowed other actors to have their moment in the sun when it was their time to shine, regardless of whether that actor was a permanent cast member or guest star. Asner's respect for Mary grew after witnessing her intense work ethic. While the rest of the crew was working a typical 8-hour day, Moore consistently put in 10 to 12. She was dedicated to her craft. Her show was her baby. Mary would do just about anything necessary to make sure a scene was completed to her liking. People who worked under her listened to what she had to say. While others might have to shout to be heard, all Moore had to do was say something like, "I don't like the way that looks," and somebody would immediately get to work to change it. She received respect because she gave it to others. According to Asner, Lou was the best role he ever played, and it was Mary that brought it out of him. In total, Asner would go on to win 5 Emmys for playing the role. When the Mary Tyler Moore Show came to a close in 1977, Asner continued playing Grant in the eponymous spin-off series. Lou Grant was also produced by Moore's MTM production company. Since he was chosen to lead the show, Asner did his best to tap into the same kind of energy that Moore did to establish the atmosphere in her show. In order to make his show a success, he would have to take some direction from Moore's playbook. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, show us some support by giving it a like and subscribing to our channel. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications while you're at it. And keep watching to find out why Ed Asner felt so unresolved after he found out Mary Tyler Moore had died in 2017. Asner and Moore went on a date, but decided it best to remain friends. Ed and Mary weren't just co-stars. They enjoyed a long-lasting friendship. Asner stuck by Moore's side through the good times and the bad. Such was the case when he attended the funeral of Moore's sister in 1978. During filming of the show, both Ed and Mary were each married to their respective spouses. But when the show came to a close in 1977, they both found themselves newly single. Asner reports that at this time, he and Moore decided to go out on a date just to see if their chemistry went beyond platonic friendship. This occurrence mirrored what happened in the second-to-last episode of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, when Lou Grant and Mary Richards also went on a date. After sharing a kiss, the two fictional characters laughed and realized they were never meant to be anything but close friends. After Ed and Mary's real-life date, they too realized a romantic connection wasn't in the stars for them. Asner and Moore remained friends for decades. Moore and Asner loved getting the opportunity to work with each other so much, they joined forces once again in 1997 for the made-for-TV film Payback. Asner served as producer for the film, but Moore wasn't exactly pleased with the finished film. She vented to the Chicago Tribune, where she explained the movie didn't incorporate her role to the full extent as it was promised to her, nor did it pay honor to the close relationship she and Ed had for so many years. Even though the two experienced that brief tiff, their close friendship didn't suffer. Their relationship would endure until the end, when Moore passed away at the age of 80 on January 25, 2017. Asner made a heartfelt post on Twitter where he expressed his love, adoration, and respect for his fallen friend. "I will miss her," he wrote. "I will never be able to repay her for the blessings she gave me." Mary's death left Asner feeling unresolved. Asner did an interview with TV Insider back in 2017, shortly after Moore's death, where he reflected on her life, career, and their friendship. He also discussed candidly his complicated feelings following his close friend's death. While Moore was still alive, Asner would go out of his way to catch up with her at various reunions. He made it a point to never miss one. The last time he saw her, he noted she seemed perfectly fine. When he was leaving, he told her he would see her at the next reunion, just as he did at each event. When he received the news she had passed away, he didn't know how to respond. He kept waiting to hear what would happen next, and when he was finally informed there was going to be a memorial service, he was more than happy to attend and honor her memory. But after the funeral, he felt very little closure. Ed and Mary had spent 7 years working together and had enjoyed a friendship that endured decades. To have it all dissolve down into one ceremony, as he put it, wasn't enough. It's never easy to come to terms with the death of a dear friend, especially one you've known for a good portion of your life. Ed Asner's now 91 years old and starting to come to terms with his own mortality as well. But he's yet to retire, and likely never will. Acting is in his blood, and his late dear friend Mary Tyler Moore played a key role in helping him develop that piece of his persona. We'd love to hear from you. Which show did you enjoy the most? The Mary Tyler Moore Show or Lou Grant? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications so you can keep up with all our latest content.